Great. So now I've got it recording. Sometimes I forget to push that. So welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you showed up today. And the purpose of today is, finding it. Are you facing a different kind of Christmas? And I am facing that kind of Christmas where I'm not going home to be with my parents this Christmas, and I'm staying at my home instead. And so when that happened, I was like, oh, this is kind of different, and I had some feelings come up, and I said, if I'm the one that's doing this with 2020 and everything that's gone on, I'm sure that other people are experiencing the same thing. And so if there's nothing I've learned more about 2020, it's that we need to reach out to people and be able to connect with them and help them, feel like you're not the only one out there dealing with these things. So that's why I decided to do this and be able to kind of reach out and help others with a skill that I know that really helps with those kind of feelings. And so I have quite a few of them that I have underneath my belt, but this is one that I really like, and it's with quantum techniques. So I will go through that with you today. So it's called our trauma technique, but it really can be used for anxiety, stress, frustration, anger, fear, any of those emotions that are kind of like overwhelming you or giving you some kind of a health symptom, you can use this technique. And so you can use it for anything. So let me go ahead and read to you about stress, anxiety, and trauma. And I found this paragraph that I thought really explained it well. So stress, anxiety, and trauma creates a physical and a non-physical response. Trauma overwhelms the nervous system and its capacity to process the experience. Pieces of that experience are left unprocessed, frozen behind in our brain and in our body. Anytime the flow of energy goes through those same areas, the person will experience the trauma again. And I find that very interesting because there's a lot of times, you may have like a shoulder that hurts, or you have, your gut that will hurt when you have a certain emotion that comes up. For years, my husband, if he had some anger, I would feel it right in my gut. And so I had to learn, say, okay, I want to let that, that emotion go there, so I'm not holding on to that emotion. So examples of stress, trauma, and anxiety is that, let's say you're driving down a road where you have had a car accident before. And so your body holds the pattern of that trauma in your tissue and your emotions and in your body. When we deal with the trauma, we become more resilient human beings, because then we learn how to respond to a situation and just to react to a situation. And it's funny, that's a learned skill. And I do find that it's one of those things that, like, I see my son dealing with just reaction right now, and he's going to get enough of those experiences to know, okay, here comes the emotion. I'm going to ride the wave of the emotion. And then if I'm okay with that, then I'm going to let the emotion diminish and it will go away. But sometimes in that crescendo, we're like, oh, this is too scary, I don't want to do this. And so we like lock it away. And that's when that emotion gets stuck in tissue and organs and then causes disease. So if we let it ride, it goes down the other way. One thing I'm noticing is, like I said, my son is just starting to have those reactions. And so I'm trying to teach him that. But I've also noticed that the other side of the curve, as we get older, we, for some reason, and I, like I said, I haven't quite figured it out quite yet, but we tend to go back to that same reaction time. And so we don't respond to things, we react to them. And the reason I'm saying this is because, for years, my dad, I watched him do this responding. And I'm like, Guy, it's such a big thing. Why aren't you, and he'd always say, don't make mountains out of molehills. That's one of my favorite sayings. At the same time, so now I see myself doing that, and I see him overreacting to little things and making, mountains out of molehills. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting that they're both sides of the perspective. So I think if we learn how to take this forward, that will help us to try to be able to continue that response instead of the reaction. So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of check in with yourself, and I want you, you've obviously called in today with some kind of issue that you wanted to work on, and you know what it is, and we don't have to know what it is. And so we want you to find some kind of stress, anxiety, or emotional pain or a trauma in your life, and that you would like to work on today. And so if you were to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, you want something that's like gives you an emotional response of a 7 and above. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. So again, it could be anything in this year of 2020, going to court for a traffic ticket, arriving on the scene of an accident, an argument that you may have had with your husband or significant other, angry words with your teenager or child, frustrations, situations at work, in the economy, death of a pet or a family member. So all of those are kind of things that I want you to just kind of say, okay, what is it that I would really like to work on today? So let me switch into where I can view everyone. So I think that's a little bit helpful. Okay, so, and if you're not showing your face, that's fine. And you just can leave in the chat, whether you have it. So I want to make sure that everybody here has something that they want to work on. And so it's, again, between a 7 and above. So just, I've got mine. Does anybody else want to make sure they have theirs? So I just want to make sure, show of hands, if they've got something they want to work on. Okay, great. All right, all right, all right, okay. And let's see, yep, great, thank you. All right, let's see, and how about Joanne, Taylor, and Caroline? Do you guys have something you want to work on? Okay, so I'm not seeing their responses, but hopefully you have something that you want to work on. And then Zoom is sometimes not the easiest to work with. So it takes a lot of practice. I was trying to learn some new things today on the best way to do things. So, all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to do this tapping process. And we call it the Q, like I said, the QT, which is quantum techniques trauma sequence. So you're going to follow along with me and touch these points, which are acupressure points. And each acupressure points correspond with a different organ in your body. Now, I don't have those memorized, but I do have a piece of paper that showed, or I went through a conference that said what they are. So I have it written down someplace. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start at the top of the eyebrow. So I'll do eyebrow. And let me see, put this way. Okay, so then we have index finger. Then we have little finger, side of hand, start of the eyebrow again, the under the eye, the middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, the armpit, and the collarbone. Okay, let's go ahead and do it again. So eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under the eye, the middle finger, the side of hand, the index finger, outside of eye, the armpit, and collarbone. Great. Okay. So now I just kind of want you to check in with you and kind of see, all right, so you know what number you started with. And we want to see, okay, where are you now on that number? Okay. So for me, I'd kind of worked on this obviously before I got in the call to be able to kind of, decrease a little bit. So I was like kind of at I would say a 6. Okay. But it just recently happened with this whole issue of getting dinner right before I came on. So, all right, so I'm kind of at I'm going to say about a 4.5 to a 5. Okay, so I didn't go down too much as I tap into that emotion. Okay, so has everybody come down a little bit? Let me just kind of see the hands of those that have come down off that original number. Okay, great. All right, okay, great. All right. And so, yeah, okay. And then again, I haven't seen Carolyn, Tyler, and Joanne on whether you guys, what your number was to start with and whether you've gone down. So if you can give me a chat just to make sure that I'm taking care of you guys and you're feeling that would be great. Okay. So let's go ahead and we want to tap again because sometimes there are different aspects that come up into the emotion. Okay. So let's go ahead and do it again. So let's do the eyebrow, the index finger, the little finger, side of hands, eyebrow, under the eye, the middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, underarm, and collarbone. Okay. And again, I usually like to do it 2 times. So eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under eye, middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, the armpit, and collarbone. And just be aware, it doesn't matter which side of the body you're doing it with or which underarm. You can do this and then you can switch to this arm. It doesn't matter. So, all right. And I'm sorry that my dog keeps barking. I'm not sure what she's getting into. All right. So just check in again and just wanted to see, okay, where are you now? So if I kind of check in with myself, I'm kind of at a 3. Okay, so I just want to see, has other people's intensity of that emotion, what you're going to work on, has that also decreased again? Okay, and so you might kind of like give me a number. So I was at a 3, I said. So how's everybody else's number? Okay, so I got a 3. All right. Okay, so a 5. Okay, and a 5. All right. Okay, 4. All right. And Rachel, have you come down a little bit? Okay, so you're a 5 too. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, and great. Sarah says a 3. All right. All right. So for me, I said a 3, but then with the dog barking, she was also involved with this little incident I had before I got on the phone. And so it raised, when I thought of her and her barking and what she's dealing with, it raised me back up to like a 4.5. Okay, and so is causing some issue in me. All right. So I'm like, okay, well, what that is what they call a different aspect of the issue. In other words, when the situation happened, we kind of got all frustrated as a family. And the dog was right there thinking, oh, we want to play. And so then she got in trouble. And so then she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. So she was frustrated. So I was feeling some of her emotions. And so that's what they call a different aspect of the issue. So an example of that would be that if we were talking about the car accident issue, let's say that you came upon that area where the accident was, and when you originally felt the intensity, you were looking at, the car and how it had spun out, or the people that were around. Like, and I'm saying, like, if you were in the car accident, so you could feel that feeling. Well, you may change aspect by thinking about the sound of that crunch. Okay, and so that could have been another anxiety point or an aspect of the issue that you're dealing with. Okay, kind of like with me with the dog. So a lot of times what happens is when we're tapping, we're getting rid of the trauma or the stress, but that can come back because it's a different aspect of that trauma. So you never have the original trauma come back. It's always the second aspect. So sometimes you need to get clear different aspects of that. Just making sure I've got here. So I'm sorry, let me see if I can see what she's taking care of. Hold on. All right. Thanks, guys. She was barking at my son's bed because earlier he had, there's these gun pellets, and so she was trying to find the pellets in the gun again. So sorry about that. She's here giving me a big sorry. All right. So we have some people where that emotion went back up again. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to work on that second aspect of what's coming out and get it to go down again. So let's go ahead and kind of think about what exactly about that situation is bothering you. Let's go ahead and tap again. So I have eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under eye, middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, collarbone. Oop, I'm sorry, armpit and collarbone. All right, we'll do it one more time. So eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under eye, middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, underarm, and collarbone. All right, so let's just take a deep breath. All right, so just want everybody to kind of check in to see where they're at. Mine went down to a 3. Just want to see how everybody else is. Okay, so great, we got another 3. Okay, a 4. Okay, all right, and a 4. All right. Okay, 2. All right. All right. Okay, so and Sarah went down to 0, and Terry is down to 1. Great. Okay. And then I haven't heard. Oh wait, yes. Okay. Great. Okay. So Joanne, I just want to make sure that you're down also. So, so there's a couple that are still at a 4. Okay. So I just want to now check in and kind of see, okay, how can we work on those another layer maybe that's causing it to be a little bit more. Okay. So let me just see here. So another way that we can do this is by identifying a little bit of what the issue is, or another thing that we can do is kind of touch into where you're feeling it in your body. So let's see, I think if I remember, let's see. So Rhonda, yours was a 4, is that correct? Okay, and then I think it says Gary's iPhone. Were you also a 4? Okay, were you a 4 too? You were a 3. Okay, there's someone else that was a 4. Oh, it was Rachel. Were you a 4? Okay, so you're a 4 too, right? Okay, all right. So we have Rachel and Rhonda. So that's what I wanted to work on. So I want you to kind of tap in, and want you to be aware. Do you know where you kind of maybe feel that in your body? You know, any like your tight shoulders, or there's a pressure in your head, or an achy or an itchy place. Anything that you have in your body that you're feeling, any sensation that you're aware of. And if you have it, just let me know. Okay, so Rhonda does. How about you, Rachel? Okay, all right. So I want you to concentrate on that specific spot. Okay, so we're going to do kind of like a more deeper layer of what quantum techniques does with that. Okay, so we think about that layer, and we're going to unreverse it. So we do side of hand, under nose, side of hand. Now, I'm sorry, you guys don't have to follow me if you don't want to, but that's a great way. If you ever get in a situation you want to you are stressed and you want to reverse something, especially if like you get bit by something, or someone else gets bit, to reduce your anxiety, that's the first thing you go to. And a lot of times, like I've been around like Boy Scouts that got stung by a bee, and so I immediately start doing that, and it lowers the anxiety level. So that's a good tool in your toolbox real quick. All right, so you guys can kind of see how I do this. So I touch on those to get you unreversed. Then we have something that's called fight or flight, okay? And it's a parasympathetic, I always call it recovery. So it's hard, it has lots of different names, but to put you back so you're not in fight or flight, we go the hand over the top of the head, and then I reach back behind and I go all the way down the spine, okay? So that's how you can get out of fight or flight. Best place to use this is if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, put that back online, and it will help your body take a nice breath to relax. So that's another great key. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is we have a bunch of brain engine points. And what we do at Quantum Techniques is we're touching places on our body that helps us clear things. So they have oblongata, we have cell memory, amygdala, which is emotions, hippocampus, motor, these go fast. So cerebellum, pons, the and these I don't have right off the top of my head. We do them so much, but there's the nervous system. Then we have the heart. And okay, so that's that one. And then we have limbic, eyes, thyroid, the point where we reconnect the body. And then we have down below the belly button is kind of the areas where you keep your trauma stored sometimes. So we have the fight or flight. And then running your hand over the top of your arm right here is like softening the whole system. And then we tap above the ears. So that's a lot of information, but that's how I put it on. Okay. And what I call put it online. In other words, get every of those areas I just talked about reactivated. Okay. So I'm thinking about you guys in doing that. Okay. So put that online, and then I'm just clearing it lock and key with all non-physically attached fields, because sometimes we keep that emotion next to us. Okay. And then again, that's like that trauma sequence, we're going to run it again. So let's go ahead and do eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under eye, middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, armpit, and collarbone. I'm going to do it again. Eyebrow, index finger, little finger, side of hand, eyebrow, under eye, middle finger, side of hand, index finger, outside of eye, armpit, and collarbone. Okay. Just take a deep breath again. So I just want, Rachel and Rhonda kind of check in with yourself and kind of see, okay, we were at a 4. Has that decreased again? And just let me know with kind of where you are on a scale from 1 to 10 now. Okay, so we have a 3 and a 3. Great. So yeah, so that's kind of an example of what we do with quantum techniques. The first one is just running the trauma sequence. The other one is just kind of doing a little bit of clearing. Another one that you could do is if you actually felt like I a lot of times get headaches right in here, and it's a gallbladder meridian. And so you think about if you have a headache or just if there's a pain in your gut. So you just kind of like find where that pain is, and you just kind of touch on it and just kind of breathe. Sometimes you'll get an impression, an emotion, a saying, and it just kind of lets you know maybe what you're holding there. And it's, kind of different each time. And there may be nothing that comes up, but you're just aware of, hey, I want this, whatever I'm holding in this area, to let go and to not be there anymore. And just kind of that intention will also help. So those are 3 different ways that we do clearing. Another one that is more detailed sometimes is if we have something that's really stuck, then we have to go in and kind of name just enough of the information to clear it. So we find out like what age the trauma happened. If sometimes people don't remember, but yet what we muscle test, excuse me, what age, what belief is stuck there, what intention is stuck there, and who, if there's other people involved, if there's some pathogen or an ingestant that got stuck in that particular area. And once we have just enough of those little pieces of information, it's almost like the body goes, oh, that's the calling card for that thing that I have stuck there. And then we clear it the same way with this the sequence to let it go. And that's what I love about what we do at Quantum Techniques is because we don't have to relive the entire story. We just get enough information to really like almost just find that string that's holding it and get rid of it. And it was interesting, someone said that I should share this, and I thought it was interesting where sometimes it's like we're climbing, and I always think of El Capitan, and we're climbing up, and as we climb up, we're letting go of those ropes that have been holding us down and different traumas or frustrations in our life. And sometimes, we'll get the same symptom again, and it's like, okay, we need to get rid of that. So we'll clip that cord again. And sometimes there's just a cord that's been longer in our life or been held stronger that when we get closer to the top. And so it's not that you're continuing to relive the same issue. It's a different aspect of it, or it's a different way that your body's holding on to that, and we clip that so you can continue on. So I just think that's a good visual to kind of help on why your body does things and how it does things. All right. So just in kind of closing, and I can also open it up obviously for questions here a little bit, but we use this same technique to help you with virus frequencies and bacterial frequencies and toxins that may be in your food that are stuck in your body. It could be environmental issues like, you know, inhalants and things like that, laundry detergents, chemicals that have been stuck in your body and in your energy field. And we help people to reconnect with their divine healing intelligence. And that's one thing that, you know, I base this on my Christianity, and so I don't do this alone. The healing, it comes from God. And so we believe that God created the body to heal, but a lot of times we have so much toxins in our world and our water and our air that it gets clogged. And so we're just identifying what that is that's keeping you from having great health, and we clear that. So sometimes we have too many toxins in our lives, and it like overwhelms our cells, and they have a hard time being in a healthy state. And so that's what we're doing. We're clearing it out of the body, out of the tissue, out of the cells, so that you can have optimal health. So just kind of want to open it up if anybody has any questions. And it looks like everybody, you know, like I said, kind of got down that emotion so that we can have a good, happy holiday. And I think it also helps us realize that we're not stagnant. In other words, we don't have to hold on to this. There's a way to let it go and tend to clear it. And so, you know, if what we've worked on today, kind of start thinking about it again, you can run this sequence again. And so a lot of people like to tap it. Some people like to write down the points. And like I said, I have it on a little card here, and I just run my finger over these treatment points, and it's like clearing what we did today. And so that's another way to kind of do it and breathe and that kind of thing. So yeah, so does anybody have any questions for me? You can go off mute and see if I can help answer anything. All right, well, great. Well, I just appreciate everybody being here, and I'm glad I can share this information. Oh, we do have a question. Let's see. And I don't know, maybe I unmuted everybody. Sometimes that does happen. Let's see here. No, let's see.
Unmute. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Hi. Okay, so I have a question. What if the trauma is, or just what I find sometimes for people, it's like just refusal, like refusing to kind of get better. Would you work on that as a trauma as well? Like maybe staying where they're at is safe.
Right.
So
what they know.
Yeah, that's all you know, right?
Yeah.
So like, would you kind of keep working on that as a trauma just to kind of keep moving it forward so you can keep improving or shift?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times we call that particular one like an intention. So we have an intention that if I let this go, I will lose my connection with this person or the situation or what I understand in life. And so, and what we do, and I'll give this to you. So if you have something like that that comes up, we touch our cell memory point, which is the way we were born, which is kind of like that perfume point behind the ear.
Right. Okay.
And then we touch on the back of the head, which is kind of like the cerebellum, or this is cerebellum. These are the points of the skull. And so we touch that. And I think it is the association point. Let me just double check that. Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes we do these so fast we forget what they're. Right. All right, so let me just double check. Yes, so it's the sense. Yes, it is the association. So if you have a belief that comes up like that, you just think about, okay, I want to clear this, and so we touch those 2 points, tap above the ears, which kind of lets the left and right brain reconnect, and that will help like clear it from being so anchored in. Now, I
Okay.
can't say that it won't come, that particular thing won't come back, because sometimes
Right.
we want that comfort. We want, what we know.
Mhm.
So it's,
Yeah.
we're constantly almost like rewriting that road or that groove that we've constantly done. And we've done a lot with neuroplasticity with the brain to help clear that. But yeah,
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. So I guess I need to take anybody else off mute if they have a question. So
Can I say something?
yeah, go for it, Rachel.
I just want to give a shout out to Jody. She's awesome. She's helped us a lot already.
Oh, that's great.
That's
I appreciate that. Yeah, it is such a joy to help people get answers. And I just worked with a little kid today that he is gluten and dairy intolerant. And so we've been working on getting rid of his fungal infection and cleaning up his guts and getting all that great. But he still has a little bit of a reaction to eating wheat and dairy. And he was been bad on it, so it makes sense. But so his dad fed him some wheat. And so when mom got him back, he had some of his eczema and skin issues. And so we, as I'm testing, I was like, okay, I'm getting a chemical man-made issue at age 3. And so, a lot of times something like that would be a vaccine. And she's, well, I've really not vaccine. So what could it be? And she's like, oh, I remember we got a penicillin, he took penicillin at age 3, and that's what it was. So I cleared that off of all of his organs, glands, and tissues. And it tests now that he can have gluten and dairy. And so just what a blessing that is to not have that, in your life. So there are ways to kind of clear the body so that it can get back on track again. So that was really exciting today. So that was we were all, yay.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rachel. It's been really fun to work with you. So yeah, yes, and I think
I appreciate you sharing some of your experiences. Is there one more that you've just been helping the last few days that you could share? Another example of something that really helped?
Let's see here. That was one. Let's see. I'm trying to think of. Let's see here. I think if there's one last week or this week. Okay, one's not coming to mind. Sometimes, like you one comes to mind, you can really tell. I think sometimes I do have some very chronic issue clients. And so sometimes we have little wins. And so I have a particular client that hasn't wanted to kind of dive into her trauma past. And so, we wait until you're ready. And so she's okay. I keep, and unfortunately what happens as we get older, it's almost like the trauma is like the ball that you try to hold underneath the water, and you keep pushing it down, and it gets harder and harder. And so what happens is then as we get older, the body says, I don't want to carry this anymore. And it's too much energy to carry it. And I want it to come out. I want to get rid of it. I want to go on. And so, so sure enough, she said, okay, I'm ready to face it. And so, we did, and it was like, oh, that was it. And I'm like, yeah, we're good. And so she said, okay. And so after that treatment, and it, didn't last long, it was, a small treatment, but the next time she called in, I could tell that there was a whole nother layer of her healing that was ready to come forward, because she was ready to let go of that symptom. It's almost like, a locked door to a bank, or, that onion layer that we sometimes talk about, that you heal in layers of the onion, that layer finally came off so we could work more in depth. So, sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I still have my skin issues are came back, but it was from a totally different reason. Because like I said, some things, they start for one reason, but then they continue for another. And so, like, for example, the kid that had eczema. So yeah, he had penicillin, he broke out in a rash. So they said, okay, let's not use that again. But then later he got eczema. So it's that same skin issue that continued, because of the dairy and wheat intolerance. And so once we dialed it back, now that will release. So yeah, so it's just being aware of not getting discouraged and not putting yourself down like, oh, the symptom comes again. I don't want this. Why do I keep getting well? And you have to realize, you know, hey, I have made progress. I have worked on this. It is getting better. And so just finding out and being aware of what is the lesson I'm trying to learn here, and being a little bit softer on, you know, that is a process, and the wins will come. So, yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, sometimes you can remember some of those and some of the others, you know, sometimes it's just in the moment, you know, and I'm always amazed. I won't remember anything that I worked with clients sometimes, and then they'll work with them again. And like the whole story of what we've worked on, what we said last time will come to the brain to work on. And so I think that's such a blessing. So it really is helpful. So.
Okay.
Well, great. Well, I just pray that each one of you have a lovely Christmas, and you know, do try to find something that really brings you joy. And whether it's Christmas lights, whether it's you know, spending time with your family. Me and my son just made a gingerbread house this afternoon, and that was something that I did in my family for years. And we're kind of come from a builder perspective, so they're like really good, you know, gingerbread houses from scratch and everything. My mom was a cake decorator, and so it was this huge production. And we don't do those anymore because of different circumstances. My son is gluten and dairy intolerant, and my mom has dementia, and so so we did one today, but it was simple, and we just got one from a kit from the store, and we had so much fun just you know, hanging out in the kitchen together. So sometimes it can be the little things that mean so much. And so try to be in the moment as much as you can through the holidays. And now you have a skill that can really help you be able to do that. So I'm just so grateful that you came today. And I hope that throughout 2021, I'll offer more of these Zoom meetings to help you kind of work on getting your health and happiness back. So I'm just so blessed that you showed up today. All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of the evening, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right.
You too. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. All right. Blessings.
Hi, Jody. Thanks.
Merry Christmas. Merry
Yes,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.